Okay. Ooh, just lost the screen. Right. Just came on here. Yeah. So I just came on here to have a quick rant. Um, a few things off my chest. Yeah. Um, you know, there's more than one thing I wanted to call this video. I'll just take my shoes off. Because I don't know what to call this video. So by the time I've uploaded this video, I will have come up with a title. I was thinking of calling this video something about Keir Starmer and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is currently in the UK, and I want to meet Donald Trump. I've got a lot to say to him. I like Donald Trump. I had a dream that I'd met him and that he was interested in listening to me. That dream was a few months ago. I'm going to do an impression. Right, okay. Who is this? We have free speech in the UK and we've had it for some time. Yeah, he did that first, didn't he? Yeah, he was like a like a Thunderbirds puppet. Yes, Keir Starmer, the who's got someone's hand up his arse like a puppet, and he's like this. He's a psychopath. He's a liar. He's a liar. I love it. I love the football chant. Keir Starmer's old anchor. Yes, I know it's a rude word. I shouldn't use it, but yeah. I'm up to date with everything that's going on all the time. I know what's going on. There's always something going on. I'm just watching Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton, who left ITV. I like Dan Wootton. The Kiwi. He was. I was born in March '82. He was born in March '83. My mother wanted to settle in New Zealand. I like Dan Wootton. You can see the anger in his eyes when he's talking. I really like Dan Wootton. And Katie Hopkins, yes. Now I know more about Katie Hopkins. The more they cancel Katie Hopkins, the more it's all going to come. It's all coming to the surface. Everything is coming to the surface. I don't think we're going to. I don't. I've always felt that this country would come to civil war, but I think that there's always been something that I've been alive for, and it's Abiy Ahmed is bringing it to fruition. I shook hands with Nick Tenconi at the Freedom Rally in October, and I still want to meet him. I'm going to send an email to UKIP. You know, I know that there are people from overseas who are watching this. You know, there are also, unfortunately for me, because I'm an amateur YouTuber, I have to say I've been really quite surprised that you can get nutters from all over the world, though. This is just it. Like that card that I received. Someone in St. Petersburg in the US who was so desperate because there are nutters, very insecure people everywhere, disturbed people, that they will pause your video just to get an address that's so blurry, but people are that full of hatred that they latch onto a random person, that they've got to send hate mail. So, but that's what people do. And it's just, I've got to protect myself and my partner, and I say things about my partner that I shouldn't say. The thing is, when you're extremely vulnerable and a homeless woman, you will do things you shouldn't do. For example, and I know there's a possibility he will see this video. There's a possibility he may even still be in this hotel, so I've got to be careful. But I had sexual harassment from a hotel guest here, and I've let him know my YouTube channel. So if he sees this, I don't feel bad saying it, because when a woman says no, she says no, and you took advantage of that. See, what happened was, I'll get to this in a minute, but basically there's another guest in this hotel, and I had a natter with him. It was late at night, and I was telling him about the local. It started with, I said about the local MP, and he said, "Oh, I've got to hear this." Come into my room, and I thought, he went out to his car, and I went back to my room to get my phone, just in case, because this is how, and I told him about how I had someone attempt rape on me, someone from Weatherspoons. I went back to their home, and that's how they ended up in prison and on a sex offenders register. This was back in 2011. And I thought, well, it's a hotel, so I should be all right. But in case I have a problem, I'll just take my phone with me. I will never, ever go back to a strange man's home again. It's one of those things where you should never go back to a stranger's home. But hmm, it's still something we do, isn't it? But in a hotel, you know, you'd have to be quite stupid, really, to attempt to do something to another hotel guest. But yeah, no, I'll say about that what happened with that in a minute. And Jessie, I'm going to say your name if you see this. Yes, you are out of order. You you when a woman says no, you cross that boundary. You know I'm extremely vulnerable. You knew that I was suicidal. I was crying to you. So, you know, but I did warn you, didn't I? I said, I'm a very honest woman, and I will say it on my channel. So you really don't want to mess with me. You really don't want to, because if you don't want people to hear it, it serves you right. You're a naughty boy. I'm a very nice lady. Yes, you're right. And when a lady says no, and you cross that boundary, you've crossed a line. I told you I have a partner. You still kissing me, still touching me, and I was wearing a towel, and I said no. And you went and lay on my bed. You forced your way into my room, and I said I would. Do you want me to tell the manager? Oh, you're going to grass me up. And if you tell other guests to F off when you're disturbing them, and that someone could have been me, that other guest, because believe me, we've made complaints. But anyway, I'll come to that in a minute, because I want to get this off my chest. So, um, what was I saying? So, I wasn't sure um, what to call this video because I wanted to give this video the title something along the lines of the Free Speech Union is a con, it's a waste of time, and I now compare the Free Speech Union to um, just as an example, I compare it to um, you know what? I'm going to have to pause this video because I can't even remember what it was I was going to say. I had it on the tip of my tongue. This is why I have to write things down, or I write things on my hand, or I forget. As an example, um, just a second, and I'm going to have a sip of tea. I'm going to pause this. Okay, I've just spent the last, I don't know, 20 odd minutes trying to think of what it was that I wanted to say. What it was that I was trying to compare the Free Speech Union to in terms of um, a service in the UK that's not fit for purpose. Now, there are so many things I could compare it to, but I had a really good example and it's gone. Because there's so much going on in my head and it's gone. And yet there are just a million and one things that I could compare it to as a service that's not fit for purpose. But I just had this really good example. You know how it is when you're thinking outside the box and you come up with a good example and then you go and make a YouTube video and then you can't remember what it was that you wanted to say. Anyway, never mind. Like I said, there are a million and one things in the UK that are not fit for purpose. Now, the Free Speech Union, I've just, whilst I was trying to rack my brains about it, I was just, I had I was watching the rest of this video, this Dan Witten video. It's on YouTube. It's an hour and a half long, and I'm only 20 minutes in. I'm aware of a lot of all of this anyway, but they actually mentioned the Free Speech Union just now. Now, the, I'm very frightened because of obviously what's going on with me. Um, I I've got this new law firm to take over from the very corrupt Mr. Holden and his 16 pages of corruption and sexual harassment against him. I really want to meet Marion in Bexhill. And this new law firm that I won't obviously mention, that's representing me now. I need to speak to the new caseworker because they need to look. They're going to look up my records at Eastbourne Borough Council, and I've briefed him in an email of what I've been put through over 9 years of torture. I also need to speak to this lady from Weatherspoons. I met a woman in. I was introduced to a woman in Weatherspoons by someone who is now saying, "Oh, you need to be wary of this chap." And the thing is, this chap. Sorry, Paul, but if you see my YouTube channel, well, you know my videos. She's warned me about him. You see, the thing is, I have to be very careful. I keep away from people There are people who will try it on with you, and I want to be. I don't like being around people. And there's an irony to this. Because when you're extremely vulnerable and you let them know about your YouTube channel, there's an irony here. Now, to the lady who wants to help me, who has been stalked by Freemasons, allegedly. I say allegedly because I don't know this lady. I've got to be very, very careful because it's like being in temporary accommodation. When you're homeless, you have to be very careful because there's just mental illness everywhere. And what I don't want to do is invite in trouble. That's why I keep away from people. You know, when you're a set apart one, when you're extremely vulnerable, you have your hedge of protection about you. Because this is what I mean. If all these things can happen to you when you don't even have when you don't have friends or family, and you keep away from people, and yet you're still having lots of people that you don't know cause a lot of trouble, it's coming from the dark realm because there are a lot of disturbed people out there. For example, I was trying to find one of my own videos on YouTube so that I could send it to the solicitor. And do you know what I found? I found a random YouTuber whom I have already blocked or hidden from my channel. They can still see your content. And they've made videos about me. Oh, I have contacted Bryony's landlady to warn uh, her and her tenants and do 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 blah 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 blah. And this same disturbed individual has got some sort of um, what do you call it, Baphomet, uh, what do you call it, pentagram thing as their well, I'll tell you what, if the landlady's disturbed, and so is her friend, you know, this harassment. So if they are having contact with this disturbed troll, then they're just asking for more trouble because I've got my hedge of protection, and that's what Darren has encouraged. But this same troll is harassing what's his name from East 17, Brian Harvey. So they've got a lot of time on their hands, haven't they? But anyway, do you know what? With all the corruption and all the insanity that's going on in the world, in this country, um, the question is, am I going to let this lady from Weatherspoons, whom I don't know, let her have the paperwork that the police have given me with all their false allegations when the law firm, Cramp and Mullany, now the thing is, the Free Speech Union have allegedly been giving people the wrong advice, the wrong legal advice. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the Free Speech Union. Because these two men have texted me from the Free Speech Union, concerned for me, and then of course you had that Irish woman who suggested I go to them. She was paranoid. She wanted to check that I definitely am not a man. Yes, no, it's not funny. I mean, you have to laugh, but as part of the Let Women Speak vetting, they have to be sure that I am definitely 100% not a man. And yet, what's his name? who sexually harassed me in this very hotel on his bed. He was touching me and kissing me. This is a hotel guest who knows about my YouTube channel. So, Jessie, if you see this again, don't be surprised, right? You make your bed, you lie in it, literally. Um, he was like, I was telling him all of this. I was crying to him. I said, I don't want to be a political prisoner. We went out onto the seafront and I was crying to him. And he was saying, promise me you're not going to go up to Beachy Head and jump off and all of this. And he was like looking at my privates, saying, you're definitely not a bloke. You know, it's so weird because I've actually had men ask me if I'm a bloke at the Adamant conventions, right? Because I used to make myself look like a drag queen. I had big 80s hair, I had the long eyelashes. Um, I'm 6 foot tall, and when I wore platform boots, you know those platform things, I was 6'7", so I was a giant that looked like a drag queen. So I laughed when men would say, "Are you a bloke?" And yet they'd still try it on. Um, because I was dressed like a, pardon my language, a Babylonian whore. And that was the idea, to be as outrageous as possible, punky, and wearing a chain bra, stocking suspenders, and all of that. That's, it all goes hand in hand with each other. The whip and the outrageousness of it all, and it was fun to dress as something that I'm not. Because even Adamant's girlfriend, and of course I was jealous, wasn't I? Adamant's girlfriend said to his um, African American friend from New York, she said about me, no, she's a lady. He said to me, oh, she said, you're a lady, but he was still trying it on with me. So it's kind of funny when you've got men all over you and also asking if you're a bloke. And I've had it many times in my early 20s because I had big hair and I was tall. And so it's kind of interesting because my transgender sister has always dressed like a man, being like a brother, and she would get mistaken for being a man because she dressed like a man and looked like a man, even when she was living as my sister. So, but she was very upset when what's his name from Bucks Fizz about 8 or 9 years ago. Uh, was it Bobby G or Mike Nolan called her love, and she said to me, "Oh, he called me love." Now I was pleased about that because she's my sister, but I'm being criminalised for calling my sister a man. So you just remember this video, because if I'm going back for an interview, you tell Keir Starmer we don't have freedom of speech. Because if we have freedom of speech, then why? It's on my YouTube channel and you can go and look for yourself. The leader of that pack, that female that put the handcuffs on me on the bed. What did you hear her say? She said, you know what this is about? We heard you on your phone. To Terry. You can see the footage on YouTube where they're coming into my hotel room and I'm saying to Terry, Terry, I think this has got something to do with refusing to call my sister a man. So the arresting officer, it's on YouTube, the female, you can hear her saying, you know what this is about. We heard you, we heard you. But Keir Starmer, when Donald Trump is in the UK right this very minute, right this very minute. He is in the UK. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I could be wrong about that. Is he? I assume he is. I've seen footage of someone questioning Donald Trump about free speech, and then and of course Donald Trump is all for free speech because he's saying that we don't have it in England. And then Keir Starmer's standing right next to him, and he looks at his wrist. He's nervous, and he says, "We we have had free speech in the UK for a long time." And he's like a puppet. He's like a Thunderbird's puppet doing this with his hand. Have we, Keir Starmer? Have we? Well, you tell Eastbourne Police, and you tell Josh Babarinde, the MP for Eastbourne, because he's not doing what District Judge Harper said on the 8th of August last year. He told the landlady he could put her in prison. Then he turned to me. He told me to go to Mr. Holden. Marion on YouTube is a retired forensic lawyer. I will put a link. In fact, actually, I'll put a link in the description, and you can go and have a look at that YouTube video where Marion is, who's a victim of an illegal eviction scam in Bexhill-on-Sea. She is saying that Mr. Holden has got 16 pages of corruption against him, including sexual harassment. And she's a retired forensic lawyer. She's 86, and she has been put through absolute torture. And this Mr. Holden was the same solicitor that the District Judge Harper told me to go to. He also told me to go to the local MP, Josh Babarinde. And his caseworker, Ewan Morrison, has done nothing for me. He's meant to have done all these things, looked into my storage payment at Rockhurst Drive because the council illegally sold. They've done a lot of things. They locked me out of my supported accommodation on news that my father had died. They've done so much to me. I am the reason why there are so many people in this country, Indigenous people, sleeping rough, because they have, this is all by design. Everything has been set up to fail us Indigenous people. My late mother travelled the world in the 50s and 60s. She met famous people. She met Jean Kelly when she worked at Woman's Magazine when she was 15, about 15, I think. And then when she was 18, she travelled the world. She was working at a gas station when black people were heavily persecuted. And I won't use the word that was used, but while she was working at the gas station, I say gas station because they call a petrol station a gas station, and she was told to go and serve they used the N word, and it was the Hollywood actor Harry Belafonte, and he tipped her very well. And she said at that time when she was living in America, she said people like oh, what's his name? He was an occultist. He was heavily in the club. He had the red and black fingernails like Adam. Sammy Davis Jr. and what's the name of that singer? Oh, the white guy. What's his name? Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. were working hard for black people's rights. And yeah, my mother saw a lot, and of course she was taken to Pennsylvania by a cop to have an illegal abortion. She by a man who was selling his body to other men in New York. So a lot happened to my mother, and she told me a lot of these things much later on. She protected me from a lot. So Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent again. I'll keep repeating these things anyway, but yeah, no, the Free Speech Union has come under fire for giving people the wrong legal advice, apparently. But then the law firm, the duty solicitor, you see, they're all corrupt. Now, I was okay with him, but the thing is, I let them take my fingerprints, my photographs of my face. It was extremely traumatic. They'd beaten me, injured me, so I've got the footage on YouTube of what they did to me. False allegations once again. I'd already been sexually assaulted by the police. PC Howard May, EB334 badge number, and PC Mufali had grabbed me, exposed my breasts, and I'm a rape victim. I've been to the Saturn Rape Victim Centre in Crawley. I went to Hove Crown Court and put the guy that I mentioned earlier from Weatherspoons on us in prison. And that was 2011. And it was a PC Dixon. They helped me. Eastbourne Police were helpful back then. But since crying out for help and showing my vulnerability, having a mental breakdown, not getting the help and support that I should have had when my mother was dying of cancer, gossip, and all of that. And just finding out that people are, generally speaking, are more evil than you realise, we're all going to have to hold in everyone. The biggest lie that was ever told to us was that just be a good person and you'll go to heaven. That's the biggest lie. The funeral of your loved ones. Did they just die in their sin? Did they choose? No. There's a very, very narrow path. And we're all going to have to give an account. We all have to give an account for ourselves at the great white throne of judgment, because all of us are deserving of, every single one of us is deserving of hell. Every single one of us. The one who paid the price for us, Yeshua, no one gets to the Father except through him. No one. Yeah. And of course, there's a lot that I've learned. The dead shall be uh, raised first. I'd have to ask Darren, because the harpazo, the rapture, is that when the dead will be raised first. Anyway, my partner has heavily studied scripture. I would go to my partner for anything from scripture, because he studied it. Yes, like a lot of people who are so used to what they used to, they want to believe their pagan beliefs, their lies, the father of lies. They're so comfortable in their sin that I didn't want to hear what Darren had to say. I was like, I like my evil stuff. But then I thought, no, 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 no. I like people who want the truth, who've studied the truth. And I had a lot of respect for Darren. So that's how we became friends, but also sort of like there was also that, um, you know, but nobody's perfect. We're all sinners. And I do, as much as I'm upset about his parents and how things have ended up, I will always agree that with his mother that he was sent to me, because I'm not here by my own strength. So yeah, I've gone off on a tangent, but it's all relevant. The Free Speech Union is the main reason why I'm making this video because I feel that I am having to now put. I'm that frightened. Obviously, I've got my the 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 ultimate. You know, Abiy Yahweh is in control of everything. He's number one on the list of list of 1 to 10. Always, always make him your number one, and the rest follows. Nothing else. Nothing matters. Nothing else matters. You give everything to. You put everything in the court of the Shalmayim, um, which is the Hebrew word for heaven. And no one has been to the Father. No one has seen or been seen the Father, seen the realm of heaven, except the one who came from there, Yeshua. And Yeshua said that. He was referring to himself. No one has been to the Father, seen the Father, been to up there in heaven, the Shalmayim, except the one who came from there, the one who was sent, Yeshua. My blood is bought and paid for by him. Okay? My debt, my sins. And he's the only one who can save you. The only one. Because we are all deserving of hell. Every single one of us. He makes the decision. He knows the beginning, the end. He knows the beginning from the end. He knows the number of hairs on your head. He knows everything. He knows what's going. He knows. He knows. And he also knows that from birth, from as long as I can remember anyway, I've always had that heightened awareness. And you could label it as autism because that's what you could label it as that. That's what man likes to do. We're all on the autistic spectrum. But that heightened awareness and that childlike it all comes from Abiy Yahweh. It's a very strange place to be in. I'm extremely frightened, but I'm also at the same time. There's always a contrast. There are two extremes going on at the same time. I'm both very frightened, but I'm also both very, very safe because I've got that hedge of protection from Abiy Yahweh. I've got the knowledge. I've got what I need to sustain my survival. So it's always two extremes. Going on at the same time. Pardon me. Two completely opposite extremes going on at the same time. Um. So yes, I am very frightened, but at the same time, I've got this. I'm also very blessed. You know. As a pastor said, he gives us what we do deserve. He also gives us what we don't deserve. You know? So it's like right at the end of a very, very evil, wicked person's life, if they ask for forgiveness from Yeshua, that doesn't mean, oh, they can go through their life thinking I can do whatever I like, and when I get to the end, when I get right to the end, I'll ask for forgiveness and then I won't go to hell. No, it doesn't work like that because Yeshua, he knows. He's not going to be fooled. Do you think he's going to be fooled by someone who thinks, right, so does that mean I can do whatever evil I like and then right on my deathbed I'll ask for forgiveness and then I won't go to hell. No, he is a just Father. He's just. So what this pastor was saying about, this elderly pastor was saying about, you know, we get what we deserve. We also don't get what we deserve. But he's just. You see, I understand. I understand, Hanau. You get an understanding of it. But apparently Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, I didn't realise till the last few days that he had died. Um, I hadn't realised that he'd died. I'd heard stuff, a tribute, and I thought, a tribute? What's happened to him? And my partner said to me, "Oh, have you heard that, Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan have died?" So it's they go in numbers, don't they? There's been a lot of deaths, a lot of suspicious deaths, and all that. Well, I heard that John MacArthur had died, but before he died, there was an announcement on YouTube to say that he'd got pneumonia and didn't have long to live. And I thought, oh, well, that's strange. That's quite sudden. That is quite strange and quite sudden. Because I've been watching videos of him speaking in church, and all of a sudden you get this news, and it's like it's very sudden. It's like that cleaner lady that was on that died, the famous, the woman who became famous, Aggie. No, not Aggie. I forgot what her name is. Um, that was quite sudden as well. But there was a video about made by Fervent for Jesus. That's the name of the channel, and it spoke about Ozzy Osbourne, the death of Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan, and John MacArthur, because they featured John MacArthur because he was a popular pastor, and it's just strange things, about it being sudden, and they showed clips of Ozzy Osbourne. He looking really with band members and really disturbed. And there was a Christian guy, 57, he said that the evil in the atmosphere. I mean, yes, he called himself the Prince of Darkness, and he was obviously into whatever he was into, Black Sabbath. Oh, um, um, but a Christian said that Ozzy Osbourne, speaking as someone who was a Christian, he used to go to the concerts, and just being in the building, the atmosphere, you could feel the evil in the. Now, I remember being in my eldest sister's bedroom very vaguely. My eldest sister went partially deaf from listening to heavy metal. She used to turn it up full blast on her ghetto blast or whatever. And according to my late mother, and I was only about four years old. Well, I was 5 years old when she was kicked out at 16, so I was 4 or 5. But vaguely remember being in her bedroom and seeing a postcard image of a man. And I didn't know, at the time, I didn't know it was Ozzy Osbourne because I didn't know who Ozzy Osbourne was. But it was a very frightening picture of a man with his mouth open like that and his tongue out and red jelly on the tongue. The red jelly to me looked like blood. and his eyes were very, very frightening and demonic. And to me, as a very sensitive child, the postcard, it was only a postcard sized picture, but it frightened me so much. It really, really frightened me. You know, so that I'd have to close my eyes and say, that's frightening me, it's scaring me. Um, and my sister Tanya would be like, oh. So, and she'd, you know, she'd laugh it off. Um, you know. My eldest sister won't like me for saying this. She was kicked out at 16. Yeah. But she and my middle sister illegally went through my father's things without me. My father reached out. My father said something on Facebook about my mother, saying that she was the one who was violent, lost it with him. I was a 2-year-old screaming and crying. My mother said she had to stop herself from killing my father, and she spoke about a time when he strangled her, and she said that she had to stop herself from killing him. When I was a baby, she thought of what could have happened had she bashed his head in with a rolling pin. I would have been traumatized for life as a baby. I would have gone into a care home. A care home, yes. When you see and hear what's going on in these care homes, I've spoken to a lot of men in their 50s and 60s about the abuse in the care homes, the rape of it's all satanic. Yes. I met an ex-army Jehovah's Witness. I've spoken to a man who was abused in Barnardo's homes. So I've spoken to a lot of people about a lot of things. And my mother was saying I could have gone to prison and this and that, and I just thought to myself, it's a disassociative thing. So it was a locum who said that me and my transgender sister need trauma-based therapy. It's a dissociative disorder, which is what the MK Ultra victims are speaking out about from Hollywood and all of that. And that is why I am heavily under attack, because I'm refusing to call my sister a man. And so they're saying that I've been harassing her, and to stay away from my late mother's flat, where I haven't been since she died in 2009. And these psychopaths are coming after me when I've already got a landlady in contempt of court for illegally locking me out of a house where I've been the victim of harassment. I've documented it. I was put, council, Eastbourne Borough Council are one of the most corrupt councils. They've done everything. These idiots, absolute vile, evil, whatevers. And I was put in a halfway house with convicted criminals, attacked, had my bedroom window smashed. I have forwarded the email from Juliet, this allegedly now deceased cancer patient who emailed Caroline Ansell, the former MP. I forwarded that to this current solicitor. This is to do with the housing, this evil landlady. But the law firm that's dealing with this attack on my free speech, like I said, Cramp and Mullany, they're as bad as the Free Speech Union, because one of their solicitors advised that I plead guilty, yes, plead guilty to, wait for it, PC Soper and PC Broadway, and I've forgotten the the thug who injured my hand on another occasion, all three of them on Beachy Head, grabbing me, carrying me out of the pub when I'd just been told by the Beachy Head pub to wait to be served a cup of tea, to them then saying they didn't want me there, even though they told me to sit down and wait. And this is supposed to be a world famous suicide spot. So the solicitor from Crampen Mullany had suggested, this was a few years ago, they suggested that I plead guilty, even though this Jenny Haynes had said, this is what the free speech, look, what I'm trying to say is the Free Speech Union are telling people to plead guilty. You should never ever plead guilty. Or why would any sane person plead guilty to something they're not guilty of? Even if they're advised to. So yes, don't always listen to these so-called legal advisors. Now, as it is, this Irish woman from Let Women Speak, Una, for whatever reason, she turned funny towards me. So did Kelly J. Keane. Kelly J. Keane didn't want me to speak again. Who knows? What? No one can say what. The only people who can speak for themselves are the people that are behaving like this. But in any case, this solicitor from Crampen Mullany was 1 minute saying to me, "Oh, look at you, look at you. Oh, it's awful what the police have done to you. This is supposed to be a welfare check. I think you should plead guilty so that you, wait for it, you can get a probation officer." Yes, this solicitor suggested I plead guilty to get a probation officer to help me with housing. Yes, I know you couldn't make it. This is what is going on in the UK right now. The councils, so that the councils don't have to do what they should do for us by law as an Indigenous person, we are being advised by corrupt law firms to plead guilty to what the police are doing to us during welfare checks. So even if you're on severe disability, the council have a duty. Yes, exactly. Tell me, why did Kelly Jade Keane decide she didn't want me to speak again when she is blasting out about the things that I'm blasting out about, but she isn't being arrested? And I had bruises and injuries to show her, and it's on my YouTube channel what the police did to me. Why, again, in the same way, why? I've gone blank. Do you know what? Because I'm so I'm like running on empty. That's what my MP caseworker Ewan Morrison said to me. He said, "You're running on empty." Yes, Ewan. And you and Josh, the MP, have not done what District Judge Harper have told you to do. And I played you the recording on my dictaphone of that vile creature on a tag threatening to beat me senseless. I forgot the fact that I've just literally just forgotten what I was going to say. Like I said, I was about to say something and I've lost my train of thought. So Kelly J. Keane from the Let Women Speak didn't want me to speak again, but she's blasting off about the things that I have been, and that and that Irish lady who suggested I go to the Free Speech Union, to get compensation because the police sexually assaulted me. I'd reported antisocial behaviour, common assault, i.e. a threat of a punch in the face from a resident, and like I said, it's all based on just this and people behaving like mamby-pamby children, because you just can't get anyone to do anything. That's what I was going to say. So I was about to make a comparison between Kelly J. Keane from Let Women Speak to this woman. What was her name? Uh, from the Police Abusing Powers channel, that vile creature, because he's got saddos who trolls who he passed to my channel just to troll me along with himself, because these people are insecure. They're not all genuine on YouTube. This is what I've found out as an extremely vulnerable woman. I've had to learn the hard way, have these horrible things happen to me, and I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on? Um, so this police abusing powers, I don't even want to say his name, the vile person and people who set it up, because this woman who had cancer, who's now deceased, she saw she I showed her what these trolls were doing to me in supported accommodation when I got news my father had died. And Caroline Ansell, the former MP, ignored Juliet's email, this cancer patient, and she had witnessed me being attacked. I showed her the video of the obscene phone call. The Metropolitan Police were meant to take it seriously. As a vulnerable adult on severe disability, I was on a welfare register, and this cancer patient put this in an email to the former MP Caroline Ansell, and Caroline Ansell is supposed to be a Christian. Do you know, you can call yourself whatever you like. Oh my gosh, the Catholicism, the Satanism in Catholicism. I was a Catholic child. The it's as Fiona Barnett, the Australian satanic ritual abuse survivor, said, Catholicism is just a sanitized version of the satanic church. And she explained everything about the marble altar that's used for satanic sacrifice, all the relics in there. I know, because I grew up. I used to carry the gold cross. I know about the sun worship, the cross, everything. And do you know what? It makes me want to vomit when I think of those marble altars that are in the churches, and what the children that are sacrificed on those marble, but because apparently marble, it's easy to mop up the blood. Yes, this is what Fiona Barnett exposed. And I'm in a disassociative state when I listen to this stuff, because as I said to Darren, I said, it's like I believe it but I don't believe it. I've given him my partner a hard time. A lot of it is understandable, because obviously, it's emotions, but my partner has had to absorb, as he's absorbed all the trauma and pain that should have gone to those who abused me, but it's all gone on him. So my partner is not wrong when he gets angry and says it's your sisters. This was going on before I was with you, because we've had arguments. But anyway, I'm going off on, I'm diverting. I keep going off on tangents. But well, everything that I've learned, I'm everything, absolutely everything. I'm in a disassociative state, 24/7. Just so everything's about prayers. Anyway, I'm ranting. This is why I don't know. I don't really understand why anyone would want to listen to me because I consider myself to be a very interesting person, but at the same time, why would you want to listen to someone rant? I've been ranting now for an hour, but I'm talking about my personal problems. I'm just ranting. And what's saddo? What? People really have got nothing better to do than do you know what I mean? That's the thing that I find hard to understand. I cried out for help in the community, and now I've got more problems than ever before. The good thing is that I have actually found someone that can help me with my disability. That's what I was going to say. I knew it would come back to me. Right. All this ranting away, I knew it would come back to me. It's taken an hour, about an hour, to remember what it was I was going to compare the Free Speech Union to. The Free Speech Union, I've forgotten. I remembered, then I forgot. Hang on a second. Do you know what? I had it in my head and then it went. Oh God, just a second. I need to pause this. It literally came back to me. Right, just a second. Right. I remembered it and then I forgot it again. So I've just written it on my hand. Just in case it just this is how no, on a serious note, this is how people get dementia and Alzheimer's from excess stress and trauma and sleep deprivation because of course I've had insomnia. Right. I'm comparing the Free Speech Union, wait for it. In the UK, we've got so many support services that are not fit for purpose. Here's one of them. So we've got the Free Speech Union, and I'm going to explain how they've let me down and how useless they are, despite the fact that I've been threatened with being a political prisoner. I'm comparing them to the Rent Guarantor Scheme, which is another government thing. Oh, right. Okay. So I have viewed so many private rented flats. Landlords are selling up. There are so many stipulations, they are making it impossible for people to rent privately. They're bringing in a renters bill that's meant to help renters, but it's not. It's there to just F everything up when it's already effed up. So basically, the rent guarantor scheme, and it was the South African. Is she South African or is she Kiwi? I think she's South African. I've been to South Africa. I met my biological grandparents in South Africa. My mother lived in New Zealand, and yet the accent, I know the difference between the accents, but sometimes they do sound alike. There's a lady, uh, I think she's South African, young lady. She told me about the rent guarantor scheme, and the man that was working with her said it's like gold dust, this information. Right. Well, tell me then, why is it that this is also as useful as a chocolate teapot? Because I have been ringing letting agents who say that they need you need to have a homeowner guarantor, and I said I don't have one, and that's the whole point of the rent guarantor scheme, is for people who don't have a guarantor.
but they won't accept this scheme. So what's the point of that? They're saying, no, you need to have a family member or a relative that's a homeowner. Well, what if you don't have that? And don't even mention my eldest sister, because if you know my eldest sister is a landlady, it's none of your damn business, okay? There's a reason why my relationships with my sisters have broken down and why they're so dysfunctional. I've said a lot of that in my videos. But so, yes, what I'm trying to say is it's not fit for purpose. What a bloody waste of time. And you know what? Sometimes I'll go to watch a YouTube video, and the irony is, all of a sudden, the rent guarantor scheme, the adverts, YouTube adverts for the rent guarantor scheme have started popping up. But it doesn't bloody well work because the private rented landlords won't accept it. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to put in my email to this lawyer who's dealing with this evil landlady who knows about my YouTube channel, who said she wanted to help me write a book, who typed up a libelous statement and all of this. Yes. So, yes, I do need to put this in the email to the solicitor because not only will the private rented, not only will these letting agents not accept this government scheme that's meant to help people that don't have a guarantor, that's the whole point of the scheme. And now they're bringing in this new renters bill, so they're making it more impossible for me. So the council are not doing their legal duty. But there's so much going on. There's an uprising in the UK going on right now with all the illegal immigrants. This video I've got on right now, UK finally loses it as a legal migrant hotel uprising, right? 30% of the hotels in Eastbourne are used for illegal immigrants. There's even I've got to be really careful what I say because I don't want the manager to know about this. But if he finds out when he finds out, who cares? There's actually a TripAdvisor review about this particular hotel because I like reading reviews. I like reading the negative ones so I know where I stand. There's actually a poor review on this hotel saying my daughter and I felt scared about this very hotel a few months ago, saying that it had illegal immigrants in here. I had to come and get my daughter and leave because she felt unsafe. Here, in this hotel, I've spent thousands of pounds of my late father's inheritance on these hotels. And so I'm basically comparing the Free Speech Union to, pardon me, um, to I'm comparing the Free Speech Union to the rent guarantor scheme, and it's taken me over an hour to say this about the Free Speech Union, but a couple of people text me from the Free Speech Union when I initially left voice messages. They were very long. It was detailing what's been happening to me, um, the landlady, what happened with my sister, what the police did to me, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to just say the names of the two men who text me, but one of them gave me a reference number for the Free Speech Union. So I've got a reference number. I emailed them, and the one out of the two men who text me out of concern, the one that I wasn't so keen on was because he'd text me to say, text shout to this number, and I thought, oh my gosh. he's brainwashed into this uselessness. Because I've done that before. Yes, I've text shout to this useless number before. There isn't anything I haven't done. It was a police officer who told me to text shout to a few years ago. It's when you're someone who has worked so hard that you have gone down every single avenue, the legal ombudsman, the local government and social care ombudsman, BHT were protecting Lorraine Blackwell from BHT, and the council and the police were protecting Sherelle Clark, who is later mentioned in the BBC as mugging the elderly with her mother for a second time in the place where I was attacked and had my bedroom window smashed. Um, that is why the BHT duty solicitors did not want to represent me. They were going to help me make a counterclaim. Yes, two women. Two women said, BHT duty solicitors said they'd help me make a counterclaim against the landlady. But because their support worker, Zoe, had opened and closed the case for me, which got because they didn't help me set up universal credit, then I had to get another BHT support worker. And as I said previously, BHT were protecting a known convicted criminal who was mugging the elderly with her mother. And they did it on the Isle of Wight, and they'd been released from prison to do the same again. And this landlady, because of gossip, she knew the property managers, Justin from Charles Lucas Property Management, who was protecting these convicted criminals in a halfway house. I mean, I had to fight to get CCTVs installed right outside my room. The police, the council, and this Justin, they all turned the other way because they're cowards. Little cowards. No men alive. And I recorded elderly residents at the Riverbourne house supporting me, and I've done care work with the elderly. And I worked very hard as a carer over 20 years ago in Seaford. One of the beauticians at Beehive, I won't say her name, but she's the same age as my eldest sister, and like me and my transgender sister, we were all bullied by the late elderly Irish matron dragon who managed Clifton House. One of the nurses from the psychiatric unit, Lisette, said, "Oh yes, I heard she could be a bitch." So yes, a lot of people. It's a world. The world is a very small place. When you get talking, when you're extremely vulnerable, and you learn there's so much mental illness all around us. You're just not safe with anyone. You're not safe with anyone. You're only safe with those who are not afraid to tell the truth. So, anyway, I finally remembered what it was that I wanted to say. I couldn't remember. As I said, it's so much going on. Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, I said what I wanted to say about him. Um, and yes, but Ozzy Osbourne was also mentioned on what's the name of that Kiwi man who now lives in America? I like watching him. I know he says Jesus. They don't know who Yeshua is, which is interesting. Someone from Living Water Ministries on YouTube. Someone in America said that they approached Ozzy Osbourne near, was it Niagara Falls? Yeah, there's a clip of Sharon Osbourne saying that Ozzy had a lot of people in his head, demons, and that they were telling him to kill uh, Sharon Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne did to Sharon what my father did to my mother. And interestingly, my mother said my father was saying I could kill you, and it was like he was possessed. But Ozzy Osbourne was obviously heavily into the darkness, and he said to Sharon Osbourne that there were people in his head telling him to kill her. Um, but you can see that it's not it. You know, you can people say, "Oh, it's alcohol and drugs." He called himself the Prince of Darkness. He's given himself to all kinds of things, but this man said that he gave Sharon was screaming out, "Ozzy, where are you?" Outside Niagara Falls, and he gave him a um a scriptural thing, and he put it in his pocket. And also, before he died, I think he showed an interest in. Oh well, anyway, it's with you. It's up there. I just thought I'd mention that, but anyway. So this lady, I won't don't want to mention the, I don't want to say the name of this lady whom I need to text, who said about the Freemasons in Eastbourne, and that they could. She's warning me against the man who passed me to her in Weatherspoons. He knows about the Freemasons. She's saying I'm not talking to Paul anymore because well, she wants to tell me why. He knows about my YouTube channel, so he'll probably see this. But I don't want to say the lady's name because I want to protect her as a woman who's been stalked. Called them out. She's called them out, the Freemasons. She wants to know the name of the. She wants to see the paperwork. She wants to know which police officer it was that signed the paperwork because she knows how to write a letter to the CPS. I shouldn't even be saying this, but she wants to help get the Freemasons off my back. I'm I have again I'm it's very frightening. I say frightening inverted commas because I've got the protection of the protection of Yeshua. Um, but it's frightening in that I just, what do you do when you can't trust anyone? But as Darren said, as my partner said, Yeshua said couldn't trust anyone. There were only just one or two people that he could turn to as savior. That's why he knew that Judas. I say Judas because the letter J didn't exist. Um, Judas, the one who betrayed our savior Yeshua for 30 pieces of silver, his real name wouldn't have been Judas. It would have been Judas, I suppose, because the letter J didn't exist. Um, but he knew that but there weren't many people that he could trust, and he knew that he was going to be betrayed by. I mean, was it Peter, Paul, Shaw, Simon, Shaw? Oh, I'll have to ask Darren. I should know, but this is what I mean. I called myself a Christian as a child. I went to church. That's what I really meant. It didn't mean anything. You gotta be in the right place. You've got to really give your. I've still never read the Bible. I just know this and that. I know I like the story of Job, as in you Job, and other stories. I know bits and pieces, but I've never actually got bogged down and read the because um, but now I'm in the right place. But it's like already it's 2:30 in the morning. I should be asleep, and I'm talking to this thing. Anyway, the Free Speech Union. My message to Keir Starmer, pardon me, Paul Thorpe showed the video of the mother with a baby in a pram being arrested for no reason. She's got a baby in a pram, and I honestly, it's all being filmed. All of it's being filmed by members of the public. This mother and baby, she's got a baby in a pram, and she's being arrested for no reason at all. At all. This country is finished. It's finished. I I wouldn't have even known what was going on had I not been extremely vulnerable, had I not given myself to Abba Yahweh totally. I would not know what everything that is going on. So yeah, please, someone out there, share this video wherever you are in the world, in America especially. Let Donald Trump know about this. I shook hands with Nick Tanconi. I had a dream a few months ago that I spoke to Donald Trump, and he was really interested because I tell you what, I didn't even know anything about Donald Trump till recently. I'm still learning, and he's I know because I never understood politics. I never knew anything about it, and now I'm just seeing just through my own extreme vulnerability. And I'd just like to tell him what is being done to me and the lies that I'm frightened. I am deeply frightened. I told, right, a few nights ago, there were, no, it wasn't a few nights ago, it was only last night. What am I talking about? Last night, me and my partner were walking on the seafront in Eastbourne, and there were, the coastal guards were there, the RNLI. This is in the pitch black. A whole group of lifeguards. What do you call those people? They're wearing blue suits, and they had hard hats on with the lights, the headlights on their hard hats. And they're working with the lifeguards, the people that do the coastal guards and the RNLI, and they had their cars and everything. And there was also a police car. And I said to Darren, "What's going on here?" He said, "Well, even if they start bringing in the boats, yeah, the illegal immigrants at night, it people are going to know about it. We know what's going on." So, but isn't it just ironic that I was crying to a man who was in this hotel? And Jesse, as I said, if you see this, you should be apologizing to me. Because I went into this man's hotel room. He said, "Oh, I've got to hear this. Can you just wait there? I'm just going to the car." This was about a week ago, about a week ago or more, was it? about a week ago, I went into this hotel guest room. I opened up to him and I told him that I'd had attempted rape by someone. I told him so much. So he shouldn't really have behaved like this. But I felt comfortable sitting on his bed, but he was, well, he knew that I was extremely vulnerable, of course, from what I was telling him. So he was rubbing his foot with his own, rubbing my feet with his feet, kissing me and cuddling me, and I didn't like it. Just because just because a woman doesn't say I don't, please stop doing that, it doesn't mean that she likes it. If she's told you that she's had attempted rape by someone whose flat she went back to, so then they've been put in prison for it, then you shouldn't be doing these things. Just because I didn't say, look, I mean it, please stop. You know, but this is where men can be very, very bad. Um, because they know that certain women don't say no. They don't say, I effing mean it now, stop. They're too nice. Like this, it's just like this demented landlady who said she'd help me write a book, acting all motherly, saying, I'll help you write a book. And then she does evil things. And she's what, 85, 86, and she's been told she could be sent to prison for what she's done to me. See? But I still knew that something wasn't quite right about her. And I still wasn't, in the same way, I wasn't happy with this man that I cried to. I cried and he put his arms around me. But he was already kissing me and touching me, and I didn't like it, and I told him I didn't like it. So I showed him the video of Marion. I told him about this solicitor, Mr. Holden. I showed him the YouTube video on his phone of Marion in Bexhill saying he's got 16 pages of corruption against him, including sexual harassment. And then this hotel guest then starts sexually harassing me. And no, I'm not sorry for saying it because I'm calling it what it is. So, Jessie, if you see this, you've got an opportunity to say, I'm sorry. You know, you kept saying, I'll take it back, I'll take it back. But then you kept forcing yourself on me. That's not on. I said no. And I actually got quite cross because I said to you, if you don't go, I'll have to say something to the manager. And then what did you do? You thought it was funny to. You fell on the floor. This hotel guest I'm speaking about. He forces his way into my room, my hotel room, while I've got a towel round me. He falls on the floor and says, "You pushed me." I said, "Now that's not funny," because I was actually shaking at that point because I thought, you then start thinking of all the things that could happen. He might then go and tell the manager, because I don't know this hotel guest. I've just gone into his room, chatted to him. He might then go and actually say, oh, there's this woman who's suicidal, she's pushed me. So that's when I put it's, and bearing in mind, if he's got a grown up daughter who's 28, and he said that she's a veterinary nurse. He's not a young man. If you're 50 years old and you're behaving like this, and then I'm having to talk to you like you're a little boy. Now stop it. Oh, you're pregnant. No, don't touch me there. My tummy. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're gorgeous. Oh, this, oh, that. Are you schizophrenic? And also on the phone mocking me by saying, oh, I'm feeling suicidal, I want to go and jump off Beachy Head. It's not funny. It's not funny. Oh, the irony was a few hours later when he finally went away, because I said, I'm tired, I've just taken a couple of um, pharmaceutical pills to help me sleep. I was saying, look, I need to sleep. And he went and lay on my bed, and then my bed stank of fags. Ugh. Oh, I mean, the fact that he even told someone to F, he said, I told someone to F off because I was making too much noise the other night. And then he had a cigarette with the window open. I don't like that. That horrible, vile creature that threatened to punch me in that council accommodation where they removed the door to my room, Lilybank Homes. That woman smoked a cigarette in her room, and because I don't feel safe in these places, I didn't feel like I could say to her, "You're committing a crime." It's a crime to smoke inside a building that is publicly owned, that is not publicly owned, that isn't your private property. Mind you, there are private rented flats where they don't want you to smoke, but it's a criminal offence. It's a £100 fine. You could even have the place shut down if they catch you out. If it's licensee, i.e. council property, it could be closed down. Now that law has been there since 2007. In this supported accommodation I was in, just across, right opposite this hotel, I was in there when my mother was dying of cancer. One of their disturbed licensees, I reported it that she left a lit cigarette on the, and you know what? Yes, the social worker landlord and his idiot brother support worker had a go at me. Yeah, shoot the messenger. That's what cowards do. But anyway, so yeah, I could have actually, Jesse, again, if you're watching, if you do get to see this, Jesse, I could have actually said something to the manager about you smoking in that hotel room because you committed a crime, but I didn't. So really, people like you make me cross, right? So, but anyway, like I said, everything's up there. Everything's in the hands of Abiy Yahweh. But I thought it was rather interesting that a few hours later, when he finally left me alone, I heard shouting from a man. And bearing in mind his room was only two numbers away from my room, so it was like on the other side of me. I heard shouting from a man going like that, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's not him, is it? So again, Jesse, if you see this, just saying, you know, it it wasn't coming from outside, but they must have had the window open because I could hear it like it was right next door to me. And I everywhere else in the building was quiet. So the fact that you told someone to F off because they said that you were making noise, and then I hear this blah, 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 blah. And on that note, I just want to clarify something here. Because anyone you know who knows anything about me in this town anyway, from whatever, any noise that you will have heard from me, and I mean any noise, because I'm basically traumatized. What happened was and Darren can confirm this because he's my partner. I cried out for help. I had people do some very nasty things to me. So any shouting that you will have heard from me over the past few years will have been a cry for help. Those who need the help don't get it. It's like the illegal immigrants.
Antifa,
These lefty loonies, these very dangerous, violent thugs that are referring to the rest of us who are trying to fight for our country, because our forefathers fought and died for our freedoms and our country. They are protecting elite people who are here illegally, mostly men, many of whom have been convicted of rape, arson, murder, everything that you can possibly imagine that's criminal. Not only were they criminals in the places they've come from, they've committed crimes here, and they are filming children. I've seen footage of some of the illegal immigrants exposing themselves to children, to young girls. I've seen footage of it. I've seen the evidence of it. Dan Wootton is speaking about it on this video, this YouTube video I'm watching right now. So I'm up to date with everything that's going on. And, I've got my ears to the ground now. It's very, 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 very frightening. But people are waking up. Praise Yahweh. Praise Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Um, yes, people are waking up. Um, what was I going to say? Yes, that's what I was going to say. So, but but also, what's the name of that Iranian Australian lady who does the lefties losing it? Um, oh, the man that she speaks to. Oh, I've forgotten what his name is. But they're now saying what I've been saying for over 20 years, because even Dan Wootton said that for 20 years, 6 times, was it 6 times they voted against mass migration, and this was over 20 years, and it was over just over 20 years ago that I said to my late mother that there's not enough room in this country, and that is exactly what this person, I forgot what his name is, said to Rita, the Australian Iranian lady from Lefties Losing It. What he said, he said what I said. We don't have the room. We don't have the capacity. That there are genuine refugees who are not getting the help. So there are genuine. It's just like these charities that are the money doesn't go. We've known this though for decades. We've known this. You know, like was it like about 15 years ago? When was it? 28. Yeah, about 15 years ago, my ex-army Jehovah's Witness friend, he was the one who told me that Live Aid was a con, that most of the money went to firearms, and he would know because he fought in the Northern Ireland conflict in the late 70s and early 80s. He's the one who was abused by his father and then abused in the children's home. He actually said the abuse was worse in the children's home, and yet his father did unthinkable things to him. And his father was Irish. That's why That's how he learnt the things that he learnt. Um, uh, but you know, you live and learn through experience. But now I know the things that I now know. So what else have I covered? Yeah. So on the 8th of August, there in yeah, just about 10 days time, on the 8th of August, there's a massive event going on, and it's against the asylum lie. Um, it's standing up to the what's going on, and it's happening in several towns outside the illegal immigrant hotels across the country. But I don't think Eastbourne is included on that list. There's also an event, the massive world event that's going on in September in London, the massive Fight for Freedom, which Tommy Robinson is supporting, and people from all over the world again are coming. There's no excuse for you not to be there. If you want your country back, if you want England back, be there in September. I've forgotten what the date is, but I'm very scared because on the 19th of August, I still haven't even said what it is that the Free Speech Union, what this man, I eat right. I've left, so I, what it is I left voice messages for these two men from the Free Speech Union. And one of the two men, and I won't say their names, but one of the two men has emailed me. It was the one who was not helpful, that I don't want to have contact with. It was the one who said try texting shout to this number. I emailed him to say about my what's happening to me, what the police did, that they want me back on the 19th of August, you know, the false allegations and everything. And he emailed me back to say, we don't think that you um you don't meet the threshold needed for help from us. Try contacting Mind. That's how useless the Free Speech Union is. I mean, I'm absolutely appalled. I'm just as appalled as I would be if it was like Kelly J. Keane. Do you know what I mean? It's all just everything that I already feel in my just about everything. Everything, absolutely everything is just a waste of time. Everything. So, in light of that, everything that is coming our way, I'm thinking, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it in words because there are no words to explain it. Um, it's all spiritual. This has been a long time coming, depending on how you look at it. The bigger picture, I've been waiting for this my whole life, even before I was even here, because he knew that I was gonna. He knows the beginning and the end, so he knew. He knew. Abba Yahweh knows the beginning. My creator, Abba Yahweh, he knows the beginning and the end. So he already knows. He knows what's in here, in me. He knows my fate. I know fate is a pagan word. It's got new age concepts, but what I'm trying to say is he knows. He already knows. It's with him. But I've been waiting for this my whole life. What is coming, you know? And again, there's no way that I don't know how to put it into words. I'm not intelligent and articulate enough to put it into words. But anyway, so I've said everything I wanted to say. Trying to read what I've written on my hand and I can't read it. Um, yes, I wanted to say that I love my partner Darren and my sisters no matter what. I've said a lot of bad, negative things about my partner, and I just want to keep reiterating because I'm trying to get through this, trying to sift through all of this because I've said things that I wouldn't otherwise say. Was if I wasn't so extremely vulnerable, I wouldn't put everything out there. I think because when you're at a point where you just don't care anymore, well, you just don't care. You say how you feel. Uh, but I want to put it out there. And that's it, really. Yeah, that's it. So it's been nearly 2 hours. Um, oh yeah. I wanted to say one thing that because I find this just really nothing is a shock. If you've got an after school Satan club, if you're doing sex changes or a sex change on a 2-year-old babies, yeah, this is what they're doing. We are in the end times. Things will get worse before they get better, but Abby Yahweh is in control. Tavistock Institute has already been sued. We know about that MK Ultra. Knew know a lot about a lot, but so nothing is shocking. But me and Darren and I, we saw, get my grammar correct. Darren and I, not me and Darren. Darren and I saw something last night that was quite shocking. So shocking. We were watching Daz Reacts. There's a very well-known YouTuber called Daz, um, Daz something, and he reacts to things. He's done film work. He's done a lot of things, and he's got a massive following. He's got loads, like probably millions. He gets loads of views, and it's funny to watch him react to things. And he made one whole video about this. I can't believe this. A, an inappropriate children's cartoon animation, a children's animation, right? A children's animation about a man's penis that has a mind of its own. I am not making this up because if you look up this cartoon, that is exactly what it will say in the description. And we were watching this YouTube video of Daz showing clips of this cartoon and the reviews of it. Now it's not graphic, so you won't actually see a man's genitals in this. It's a stop motion. It's a Danish stop motion animation. It was only made a few years ago, so that just shows you where we are in the world. Um,
I said to Darren, this can't be for real. This surely can't be for real, but it is. Um, they made 20 episodes of this cartoon, and yes, it is actually described as this, what's his name, Dillerman character. It's just so weird. It's a very creepy stop motion animation. You know, stop motion. I mean, I used to find Aardman animations back in the 80s. I thought they were creepy. Um, Stop motion is creepy anyway, but these figurines have got no eyes. The children and the adults, they don't have eyes and faces. They're like plasticine characters without face. It's just creepy. But the character that's got a magic penis, this Dillerman character, he looks, as Daz said, you immediately think of Where's Wally. I remember Where's Wally when I was at primary school. My last years at primary school, there was a thing called Where's Wally, and you couldn't find him because everything. Where's Wally? This character wore a woolly hat and a jumper, and they were both red and white stripes. And on the pages, you couldn't find Wally because there were a lot of red and white stripes. Well, I think this Danish cartoon has copied Where's Wally because this character with this magic Willy, um, he's got, should be Where's Willy? Sorry to be crude. It's not me that's being crude. It's just unbelievable that they've actually made a cartoon about a man with a magic Willy. And he's got a red and white stripy jumper and a red and white stripy woolly hat. Um, but they're getting away with it because you can't. They're not showing anything graphic. They're just showing this man's long sock that's um endlessly long, and it's ridiculous. It's supposed to be, and I think this is where they're blurring the lines of what is crude, sexual, and inappropriate with childish, silly. So it's the childish, silly that helps them to get away with it because it's. And I noticed that this character that is faceless, like the other characters in this creepy stop motion. It's really creepy. I said to Darren, I'm going to have nightmares after watching this because not because of the Willy, but because of the characters don't have eyes, and I used to have nightmares about stop motion animation because it was very creepy. There's plasticine characters that have got no eyes, but every now and again, this Dillerman, again, it's a Danish cartoon. Um, this I would love to have seen the subtitles. I'd love to know what they were saying in English. I mean, how do you describe a character that's got a magic willy? I mean, I said to Darren, do they think differently in other parts of Europe about this sort of thing? Because obviously I've been to the red light district in Holland, and my partner Darren, he said to me, well, think about it, Bryony. Do you think people in the UK are okay with being arrested for their free speech? I was like, oh yeah. No, because there's a massive fight going on. So for all we know, the Danish people, are probably up in arms about this. I mean, how many mothers and fathers? I mean, I said to Darren, can you imagine back in my day? Everyone would be up in arms. I mean, my mother shouted again in church against the appraisal of our pervy headmaster, and all the children were going home to their parents, and they were getting letters to the governors, the nuns, um, because the nuns used to teach at our school many moons ago, and then they just became like governors rather than teachers. Um, you know, sometimes you get one nun who would do the Stations of the Cross. She's still pagan, but anyway, we're all saying. I was saying to Darren, I used to zone out because I used to daydream. So, because I would just get bored in assembly, but the other children would hear about the doom and the gloom, and then they'd go home to their parents and complain. Um, I just complained when he was just being cruel, com- getting confiscating conkers and acorns and getting prefects onto us and hanging around the girls' toilets and insisting on handing out, doing the sex education and handing out the women's bits. And when you're 10 years old, 9, 10 years old, you're of an age where children, the girls are more advanced in puberty, and you don't want men, even if it's a headmaster. But anyway, yeah. So, so can you imagine? We were quite savvy at our school. We knew what was inappropriate, and yet we knew that some of the rude school songs and rhymes and things. And my childhood best friend brought in some pornographic pictures, and she told the headmaster that I had brought them in as well, and that's how she got me into trouble. My mother was fuming about that. But now I'm an adult, I forgive my childhood best friend, because I probably would have done the same thing. I would have been so frightened that I would have told her, uh, even though I didn't lie. If I'd been afraid of getting into trouble, I don't know what I would have done. But she said that I brought in rude pictures as well because she didn't want to get into trouble on her own, and I was mortified because these were pornographic pictures. And I was just an innocent child, but I didn't have a father, so I can only assume that's where she got them from. Where else does a 9-year-old get pornographic pictures? Um, uh, um, but anyway, I had fun and games back then. Um, but can you imagine? I just imagining going into Annecy's school and saying, "Have you seen this cartoon? It's about a man's willy." Can you imagine? No, you're having a laugh. Yes, there's this cartoon on the BBC, on BBC, CBBC. Yes, it's about a man's willy. It's a children's cartoon. Yeah, can you imagine going into school and saying that? And I said to Darren, I said, "Oh, he's pogoing with his willy now," and it's just weird. It's just this character, this man with a moustache. One minute he hasn't got eyeballs, and then they've drawn the eyeballs on him, and the next minute he's got no eyes, and then they, that's what's so, it's just so creepy. The other characters don't have eyes, and he every now and again he's got eyes. Every now and again He's just plasticine with no eyes, and he's just got red and white stripes like Where's Wally? But yet again, maybe Mark Devlin can explain that, because he did a breakdown of, the MK Ultra, and well, Mark Devlin, during the talk at Ashburnham Place, he explained, I think he did it at Ashburnham Place, he explained what red spots, polka dot spots on white is MK Ultra programming, which is why it was used for Pudsey Bear, because Pud means is Pud is apparently another word for a man's penis, and Pudsey is used in MK Ultra trauma-based mind control. The one eye symbolism, which is why you've got the bandage over one eye. The fact that he's got a broken arm in a sling. Again, the trauma of having a broken arm, a broken leg, and using a teddy or a doll. Again, this is trauma-based mind control of children. So children in need, and the fact that it's inside a pyramid. Mark Devlin did a breakdown of trauma-based mind control on children and children in need, and this the pedophilia, the Pudsey being. So maybe Mark Devlin could explain what this Danish cartoon is doing, using man's penis in a children's cartoon and the red and white stripes. Because in Denmark, this appears to be normal. In the same way that in my country, in England, we are now living under tyranny, and Keir Starmer thinks we have freedom of speech. But I'm under attack with false allegations that I shouted transphobic comments at my sister when my sister asked me to read her message on Facebook. And she's obviously got a handler because her support worker swore at me in Wetherspoons, which is ironically where I've met this lady who wants to help me. Anyway, I need to still be very careful what I say. Because this lady said I'm under attack from the Freemasons in Eastbourne. Generally speaking, there is a stronghold for Freemasonry in Eastbourne, but I need to be very, very careful whilst speaking the truth. Now I've been speaking for 2 hours. 2 hours. It's been a long time since I've made a 2-hour video. I've only just started to make an hour-long video, so that means I've recovered a tiny bit, but I've still got to be very, very careful. But that is what is going on in our country right now, and I've learned just through being vulnerable, through speaking the truth, through being extremely vulnerable, through being homeless, and through speaking the truth. Then all these things happen. I tell you what, there is a greater judgment coming. Yeah. Anyway, I say Shalom Yahweh and keep going with my hedge of protection.